Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next episode of the Shameless Freedom Podcast. And today I want to talk about making the decision to heal, and specifically making the decision to heal your sexuality as a woman. And and let's take a pause here for a moment. I want to just think about when you make decisions, how they come into play. And when you decide that you are actually going to do something, the ways and the means happen. So there is an order. There's a law of the universe. It's the law of cause and effect, the law of order, that you must decide first, and then the ways and the means come. It's not a matter of you kind of sort of want it, and then you look for the proof, and then you're like, yeah, now I'm going to do it because I can see it. That's not how it works. You first have to decide. And what I think is interesting, as I have experienced my personal journey and have watched other women as well, is if you want to heal your sexuality, it begins with a decision. And I don't mean wishful thinking or hoping. I mean actually deciding I choose to heal this. And I think so many of us, because of the sexual oppression and the objectification of women and trauma and everything that has happened in the world of sexuality, we brush it off and say it's not important. And we all know that we do the things that are important to us. Everyone does, whether you admit it or not, right? We make time for the things that are important to us. We do the things that are important to us. We do the healing work that's important to us. And if it's not important, we don't do it. And I think what happens for a lot of women is we don't say yes to healing these parts of who we are. And if we don't decide to say yes, it's not going to happen. I want you to think about losing weight. I know every single woman listening has probably experienced the intention of saying, I want to lose weight. And then it doesn't work. Right? You say it that you want to do it, and you're maybe good for a few days, and then you fall off the bandwagon. And it's kind of in your mind, you know you want to lose weight, right? I don't know any woman who doesn't think that they want that, but there's a difference between saying, I want to lose weight, and I decide it's happening. Because I can tell you this from my own experience, and you've probably experienced it in your own. When you decide and declare it's happening, it happens. We all know what we need to do to lose weight. However, we don't necessarily decide. We don't necessarily believe that we are worthy and deserving of experiencing that either. So there's kind of this dichotomy as well too of you can say it, but if you don't believe that you're worthy and deserving of losing that weight, then it's not going to happen. So there's so much psychology that is involved with this. So many of us have decided or thought we've decided that we're going to do things, and they just don't happen. So we just kind of brush them to the side or say it's not important. And when I think about the topic of sexuality, I hear from so many women, it's not important to me. I have so many other things that are at the top of my agenda. That healing my sexuality is not one of them. Like not really interested in sex, or I don't have a partner, or it's not important, or, I do what I need to as my wifely duties and, whatnot. But it's not what it was made for. And to be honest, I can tell you some of your greatest healing will likely come from owning your pleasure and your sexuality and your sexual healing. And I say this because this is the work that I was called to do. I did not wake up one morning and say, "Oh, I want to do this." Nor did I feel like I was groomed all my life to say, "This is what I want to do and this is who I want to be." But I had this huge awakening over a decade ago with my own sexuality. And I remember I had this dream that there was this beautiful, gorgeous woman dancing in green lingerie for my husband at the time. And I just wanted to be sexy. I wanted to be desired. I wanted to be cherished. I wanted to be wanted. I wanted to feel alive, sexy, you name it. And I didn't. And I decided to go on a journey because I wanted that. I wanted more of that. I didn't want to feel numb inside anymore. I didn't want to feel lifeless. Yes, I wanted deeper intimacy and connection with my husband. And yet, I also wanted to feel alive. I didn't really know what that meant. I just knew there was something I wanted. There was something internal within me that wanted more. And as I then started the journey, I knew there was deep healing that was needed. If any of you have heard my story, I have healed through teenage date rape and pregnancy and being sexually abused by my grandfather as a little girl. And when those old memories came to the surface, it's not necessarily a place you want to go. Like, we want to hide from those places, or we think that we've healed from them because of whatever work we may have done when it happened. And it takes a decision. And I remember when I remembered the trauma from my grandfather. You see, here's the thing. Some of us remember our traumas. My teenage trauma, I knew. Like, I can remember all of the various components in my head as I remembered it. And then the things that happened as a little girl was really hard to know. And they just, they came up to the surface. God revealed them to me literally almost instantaneously. And when those things were coming up, I realized that I knew I needed to heal that pain because it was getting in the way of me feeling alive. It was getting in the way of me having the relationship with my husband that I wanted. Like, I couldn't be a sexual being if I had this yucky stickiness, this shame, this guilt around what had happened to me and how I felt about my body. And I remember going to a retreat back in, gosh, this was January of 2014, 15, something like that, over a decade ago. And realizing and remembering that in feeling connected to spirit, that like I wasn't making shit up, that the things that God was revealing to me were truth, absolute truth. And I remember deciding that weekend in front of 30 women that this was my calling, that this is what I was meant to do to help women to heal through this trauma, this pain, this sexual oppression. And the truth is, I didn't have a map, right? Like it wasn't like someone handed me like when you're a parent, right? Like nobody hands you a map and says, "Here's how to be a mom." No one handed me a map and said, "Okay, here's how you do this. You can go ahead and heal." And it's interesting because there's another piece to this that like you have to decide you're going to heal, but declare that God's going to heal you. And here's the thing, I can't tell you how long it's going to take for your healing. There are some things that can be healed in an instant. And if we go back to the Bible and all the things that the healing that Jesus did, that there are people that healed, miracles that happened immediately. And maybe there are opportunities for you where things get healed immediately. And if they are, that's beautiful. But just because something doesn't happen immediately doesn't mean it's not meant to happen. It just means that there are other lessons to be learned from the journey in regards to that healing. And I think that sometimes we can get frustrated with God that we claim we've decided, but yet we don't see the results. We don't see the end result that we're looking for, right? Um, and I would encourage you to keep an open mind. This is where faith really comes into play. And I would ask you, did you really decide? Did you really declare? I remember I was on a retreat in Florida. I don't know how many years ago it was. I remember standing in the sand, feeling into my business, my power. And what was interesting is I got this download around deciding. It's like when someone decides that they are going to have a business, you decide and you work through it. Someone who decides they're going to work on their money blocks. Someone who decides they're going to lose weight. Someone who decides they're going to run a marathon. Whatever it is, you decide. And it all begins with that. And if anyone has ever wanted to go deeper into this work, it begins with a decision. You have to decide that you want to heal this, that you want to be alive in life. Let me just say this, right? You have to decide you don't want to live a numb life anymore, that you want to live a radiant, vibrating, exciting life. That's what you want. And for some of you, that might be enough. Others, you might say, I desire to feel sexy, sensual, seductive, mysterious, captivating. Like, I want to be that type of energy. And if you do, great. Have you decided? It's one thing to say that you want it and that you desire it. So, desire is that first step to say, I desire to heal. I desire to claim this sexual, sensual turn on energy in my life. And then there's the decision to do it. There's the declaration that this is happening. And I really want you to reflect for a moment on, have you decided? Or are you just dreaming and wishful thinking? Because deciding is where it begins. The ways and the means are not going to come until you decide for yourself that this is important to you. So I'm going to ask you, what is important to you? If you are in a partnership, in a marriage, and you want to experience more intimacy and connection with your partner, how important is that to you? If you want to feel more aliveness as a woman, you want to tap into your pleasure, you want to enjoy physical intimacy, you want to increase your libido. You don't want to feel this, I'm in my head all the time, or I'm just doing it to go through the motions. No, you don't have to. That's not how the body was designed. The body was designed to experience the depths of pleasure. That's how we were designed. What if you allowed yourself to say yes to that? If you want to grow your business and you have struggled and you've tried all the strategies in the world, what if tapping into and owning your pleasure, your aliveness, your orgasm could be the key to open up the door to receiving more clients, more wealth, more abundance and prosperity in ways you never dreamed possible. It is possible for you. What are you waiting for? Are you waiting for someone else to make the decision? Are you waiting for permission? Are you afraid of what you might find? Are you afraid that you don't want to go there? Or maybe you were taught that owning your sexuality is sinful and it's shameful and you shouldn't want material things or material pleasures, and it's not going to get you anywhere. I understand. I was there too. I was raised in a devout Catholic home and was taught that you do not talk about this stuff. It should be hidden under the rug. You don't talk about it, let alone experience it. But what if this is the exact thing that could change your life, your turn on, your energy, your aliveness, your erotic power? What if the key to freedom? I am offering you a key to freedom, but you need to decide for yourself that first you want it, and that second you can have it, and that it's possible, and you are worthy and deserving of it because you are. You are worthy and deserving of all that you desire. And when you trust in God, spirit, source energy, higher power, higher consciousness, that there is an abundance in this world, You can experience that if you allow yourself to say yes. But you must allow yourself to say yes. If you don't, what will happen? If you don't decide to heal and to move through this energy, where will you be a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now? I know that for me, part of my challenge was, well, how do I know it's going to work? And how do I know when it will work? I don't want to invest all this money, whatever, if I don't know what the result is going to be. I can't prove that there's going to be a result. I want to invite you to a different mindset. If you believe that God is fully abundant and there is an unlimited supply and source available, and that you are worthy and deserving because you are a child of God, of the highest power, then all it takes is for you to believe this can happen for you. If you don't decide, then that's okay. Or if you decide this isn't for you, that's fine. And you can stay in the situation and the environment that you are currently in. But if you want to move through something, borrow the belief from someone who's been there, who was scared and afraid. But God dove me into the depths of this work. I was afraid of saying the P word. I thought, oh my God, why do we have to use that word? I was not a sexual being. I didn't even know what the hell I was doing. I had never had an orgasm through sexual intercourse until I was 45 years old. I was afraid. I didn't know what to expect. I knew that there was something more. Something in my core said, there is more here, Jen. You were made for more. You were made to heal. And I was put on this earth to not only stop the generational abuse in my family, in the lineage of my family, but I am here to help that for other women, other families, other generations. Because it stops here. It stopped with me. And I am here to help you do the same. This sexual oppression stops with you. This shame around owning your sexuality. And I don't care if you have actually been physically abused or not, there is still sexual oppression in the world. You have been impacted by it, whether you show up as sexy or not. You have been impacted by societal, cultural, religious, sexual oppression and shame in this world. And we have been taught to silence ourselves. We've been taught not to speak up. We have been taught to decide to shove it down and not make it important. No, I am here to help heal the world. I am here to talk about the power of women owning our sexuality, to know that it is our greatest gift. It is our greatest power when we can own this essence of who we are and we stop the oppression and the shame and we create more sacred unions between men and women. We as women, if we do not heal this part of ourselves, we are doing our future generations a disservice. Men need us to dive into the depths of our radiance. They need that. We need that. Society needs that. And we need a community and support system who can help us move through that. I'm here to help you in that world. We are going to do this and change lives, one life, one family, one generation at a time together. And it begins with a choice. Whether you are single and don't have any kids, or you are a mother and you have sons and or daughters, the decision that you make in regards to what you do about your sexuality will impact your children and the other people that you interact with, current and future generations. I invite you to say yes to a legacy of transformation, to say yes to healing your sexuality, to healing centuries of oppression and hiding. And yes, to the fullest, authentic version of who you are as a woman, knowing and believing that this is our truth. This is a part of who you are. Unveiling the lost self within and owning all parts of you is truly the key to your freedom.